AirComp Calculator version 7. The AirComp Calculator is business aviation's only online compensation analysis system. The AirComp Calculator can generate definitive and precise compensation ranges for 14 different positions across 5 jet classes and helicopters in 55 locations throughout the United States, and more locations every day. Let me give you a brief tour and show you how it works. This is the AirComp Calculator main entry screen. Up at the top are the comparison fields. We're going to compare a base salary and a total cash comp for a director of aviation who manages and flies a Falcon 900 in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. This person is being paid a $250,000 base salary. They get a $25,000 bonus every year, which makes their total cash comp $275,000. Their company's benefit load as a percentage of base salary is 25%, and the 401k match is 5%. All of these fields are optional. If you'd just like to run a compensation range, you can go right to the bottom, input a position, a jet class, pick a model of aircraft, and then select a region, and mere percentage or mere compensation ranges will be generated, which you'll see on the output screen in just a moment. But for our purposes, as I said, we're trying to do a comparison. The 401k match menu allows you to pick 401k match percentages from 2% all the way up to 16%. However, that can be expanded if required. Company benefit load is an interesting figure. It's the number that helps the company price the out-the-door cost for employees. It includes things like payroll tax. It includes 401k match, medical and dental benefits, that sort of thing. When a director of aviation or a department head budgets how much each employee is going to cost, this is the number in addition to base salary he or she budgets. And the menu for it goes anywhere from 8% all the way up to 50%. So we're going to select 25% for today's example. Position to analyze. The AirComp Calculator will analyze up to 14 different positions, as I mentioned. We're going to choose Director Aviation Manager Flying. The AirComp Calculator will generate ranges over 5 different classes of aircraft, and they are listed here. It also will do it for helicopters for the captain position only, and will generate an all-jet average. Typically, the all-jet average is a good number for smaller aircraft. For larger ones, it's almost better to go to the jet class if you're trying to push the compensation level upwards. Today, we're going to choose large jets. Then under the aircraft menu, you can see large jets that are listed. We're going to choose the Falcon 900 LX. Finally, we select the region, and you can see all the different regions that the AirComp Calculator uses. Now, the AirComp Calculator uses municipalities, not geographic areas, because it uses data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics that's focused on municipalities. Now, looks like we're ready to calculate. We go to the Calculate button and hit it. This is the Review Detail screen. It's basically the Are You Sure screen. You can see all the entry conditions that we entered previously. If we think they're good, we hit Calculate again. Here's where we can go back to the entry screen if we need to change what we've input. But we're pretty good with our selections, so we're going to hit the Confirm button. And boom, instant compensation analysis. What's unique with version 7 of the AirComp Calculator is rather than have 3 separate pages for the different percentiles, we have them all grouped on one page now, which allows you to compare them better. Here are entry conditions: Director of Aviation Manager Flying, jet class, location. And this is the base salary analysis. You can see the 50th percentile range displayed here, 75th percentile range, 90th percentile range. If you'd like to read the methodology for how these ranges are generated, please go to aircompcalculator.com, go to the landing page, and you can see the methodology and read about it. You can see that for our entry conditions, the $250,000 number is definitely in the 50th percentile range, just gets into the 75th percentile range. But how well within that range are we paying? That's where the figure compa ratio comes in. Compa ratio is an HR statistic, and it merely involves the ratio of input compensation to the midpoint of the range. So with the compa ratio stat, it's $250,000 over $263,911 for the 50th percentile, $250,000 over $285,225 for the 75th percentile, and then $250,000 over $351,975 for the 90th percentile. And here's how that pans out. For the 50th percentile, that compa ratio is 94.73%, which is pretty good. The normal range you like to see compa ratio in is 90 to 110%, and that obviously falls within that range. It's below the compa ratio range for the 75th percentile and well below it for the 90th percentile. So if our goal is to pay at the 50th percentile with this 250 grand number, we're doing pretty well. Now, total cash compensation, base plus yearly bonus. We can see, hey, we're actually doing a little better here. The 288,750. Oh, 288,750. Why that instead of 275? Because the amount of 401k match has been included in the calculation there to get a true view of what the employee is being paid versus what the other ranges are. So you can see 288,750. We're well within the 50th percentile range and far below the 75th and 90th percentile ranges. And if you need to see what those calculations are based on, as I mentioned, the input total cash comp figures with our 5% match. The 50th percentile total cash comp is based on a 4.5% match, which is typical for companies that pay at the 50th percentile. 75th percentile total cash comp is based on a 6% match, which is typical for companies that pay on the 75th percentile. And finally, the 90th total cash comp is based on an 8.6% 401k match, which is typical for those companies. So how does comp ratio stack up? Again, the midpoint of the given compensation level with the midpoint of the percentile range. How does that stack up? Well, for the 50th percentile, we're moving up, 97.61%. That's more toward the normal range, higher in the normal range of 90 to 110%. But for the 75th percentile, the comp ratio is 83%. For the 90th is 65.84, almost 66%, obviously well below those ranges. So again, if our target is the 50th percentile, we're paying well. If we're thinking about paying in the 75th and the 90th, we're well below where we need to be. Finally, the total compensation range. This includes all the benefits and everything else that the employee is being paid. You can see now we're solidly in the 50th percentile range, still well below the 75th and the 90th. And if you want to get what that looks like, total comp with a 25% benefits load, that's what we added. 50th percentile is based on a 22% benefits load, which is typical of companies that pay at the 50th percentile. 75th percentile based on a 30% benefits load, typical for companies there. And finally, the 90th percentile load is based on a 38% benefits load. How are we doing total cash comp wise? The 50th percentile, we're doing really well, 99.05%, right in the middle of the range. Still well below the comp ratio figures for the 75th and 90th percentile. Okay, so that online output is very pretty. But what do you do with it besides look at it on your computer or bring somebody else in to look at it? You need to be able to turn it into a report so you can cut and paste the clip art into a presentation or show it to your boss. Every time you run a report in the AirComp calculator, if you have a subscription, it gets a report. Every time you run a query, I should say, a report gets generated behind the scenes and it gets deposited in a folder that's unique to your account. So any report you've ever run, you can download all of those queries and all those reports using the date ranges specified here. But for today's purposes, we're going to download just today's report. Report's ready. Click on it. Boom. There we go. It's the same essential presentation you saw before, only this time it's in PDF and provides the same graphics and the same comp ratio numbers that we saw on the online input. All of these can be cut and pasted into presentations or just presented to executives. They're formatted to be executive friendly. And you can see what all that looks like. And finally, the total compensation page. So ladies and gentlemen, that's the AirComp calculator. There's absolutely nothing like it in our industry. And for a nominal subscription price, this capability can be yours on an on-demand level whenever and wherever you need it. Please go to my website, aircompcalculator.com, if you're not already there, to figure out how you can subscribe, or drop me an email and let's talk further. Thank you for your time.